Hey everybody, Coach Brew here. We are going to do a pumpkin spice beer review of one of my favorite beers, not just seasonally, but one of my favorite beers. It's Shipyard's Pumpkinhead beer. This was pumpkin spice way before pumpkin spice was cool. They started brewing this particular seasonal batch of beer back in 1997. It's withstood the test of time. It has a huge following, 22 years of pumpkin spice, well before it was cool or a shtick or a trend. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of craft beer's biggest selling seasonal beers. It actually leads the nation in the pumpkin spice beer category. Who knew there were a bunch of pumpkin spice beers? And it's brewed locally here in Portland, Maine. Fred Forsley is the CEO of Shipyard. They were founded in the early 90s. They actually opened up a bar in Kennebunk called Federal Jack's where they first served the beer. And this is just one of my favorite beers. Again, selling it and creating pumpkin spice before it was cool. So my question for you is, what were you doing before it was cool? Maybe you're watching this thinking, I was wearing jorts before they were cool, or yoga pants, Uggs, infinity scarves. What else? Crocs. Were Crocs ever cool? No. So we're going to get started with this. Fun fact, why do Crocs have holes in them? Because that's where your dignity seeps out. So Mrs. Coach Brew is holding the camera. Say hi, Mrs. Coach Brew.
Hi.
She's thrilled, as you can see. We're not going to drink. We got to let it breathe for a second. We're not going to drink them out of the bottle, though. We're super classy. We have frosted mugs, and we're going to actually put something on the rim of the mug with orange, a slice of orange wedge, and then we're going to rim it with cinnamon sugar. The Shipyard's website has like over 20 recipes on how you can make Pumpkinhead beer cocktails. This is my favorite way to do it. I'm a bit of a purist. Some people put nutmeg in with the cinnamon sugar. I prefer just to do the cinnamon sugar and then let the pumpkin spice and the actual beer speak for itself. Shipyard's doing a really cool thing the last couple of years. What they've done is you just kind of rim it like it's a margarita, by the way. What they've done is they've started a campaign where they're teaching bartenders how to create these 20 different pumpkin spice cocktails that they have. So constantly educating the public and their distribution partners, if that's the correct terminology, I don't know. Their distribution partners on how to serve the product. And here we go. We're going to start this. If someone's watching this saying you don't know how to pour a beer, Brubaker, and they're probably right. I probably don't know how to pour a beer, but it's my video. I'll pour it the way I want to. Is this better? Whoever's the critic watching this at home, tell me if this is better in the comments, because I don't know. Shipyard is the 28th largest craft brewer in America. And fun fact, 2 years ago, Portland, Maine, was named the #1 craft beer city in the United States, which is pretty cool. We will talk about the business lesson behind this after we do a review of the pumpkin spice Pumpkinhead beer. So we let it breathe a little bit out of the bottle. We rimmed it with cinnamon sugar. And here we go. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Mrs. Coach Brew. My wife's super extroverted, as you can tell. That's good. It tastes so good when it hits your lips. I like to maneuver my way around the mug to get a little more cinnamon sugar with each sip. I'm sure I'm wearing it all over my face right now, but this is, if you're wondering, Pumpkinhead Pumpkin Spice Beer is an amber ale. You get kind of a hoppy taste on the tail end of it. It goes down very smooth, and then you sort of feel the hoppy taste at the end. It's not like a ultra hoppy, bitter, kind of like grapefruitish, kind of bitter beer face feeling at the end. It's a good feeling. It's subtle, but you can sense it. So there's two advantages that Pumpkinhead enjoys. Number one, they were pumpkin spice way before pumpkin spice was cool. Like a decade before pumpkin spice was cool. So it's going to get a high rating for that reason alone. Like they're kind of ruining the curve for every other product as we do this review every day until Thanksgiving. And the second reason is it's local, and I'm a homer. And I love the craft beer culture in Maine, and Shipyard is at the forefront of that since day one. Cool thing is a lot of these craft breweries are located very nearby one another. If you've ever read my book, Stadium Status, I talk about it in one of the chapters. That can be found at stadiumstatusbook.com and wherever books are sold, but mostly just on stadiumstatusbook.com. So you can go there and check that out. But it's cool because they all root for one another. And I think that's the business lesson, kind of just the lesson in teamwork for everybody. The whole craft beer industry in the state of Maine they're very much believers in the fact that a rising tide raises all ships. See what I just did there? Shipyard raises all ships. I could have said boats, but I didn't. But seriously, they believe in the fact that you're not competing, you're creating. Excuse me. You're not competing, you're creating. And it's an important distinction because when you root for each other, you improve your whole industry. You coincidentally don't see that with like the big beer corporations. Big beer, kind of like big pharma. Could you imagine Budweiser rooting for Coors? Or like if Coors ran out of some ingredients they called Budweiser, do you think Budweiser would help them out? No, hell no. They're rooting for each other to fail. Whereas the craft brewers, like one of them runs out of hops, their next door neighbor's literally going to loan them some hops to finish out their batch. And when they release new seasonal beers or one of them comes out with a new flavor, they all go to the launch of that and they root for each other and they go to the tastings and they promote one another because they know when the industry is doing better, they're each doing better. Each of us needs all of us. And I think that's a lesson for America because that's a distinction that's been lost in our partisan ways, not to get all politicky on you. But so how can you help a rising tide raise all ships in your industry? That's the question. Now I have to give this beer a rating. $9.8. Yes, you heard it. That's the first 9.8 is as close to 10 as you're ever going to hear from me. And it's because they're pumpkin spice before pumpkin spice was cool. And that's my question for you. What were you doing before it was cool? That's a review. 9.8. Go get yourself some Shipyard Pumpkinhead beer. Thank you.